Public Safety Minister Vic Toews would seem to be a man harboring some irrational fears. A few of the things to make him quake in his boots in recent years include unions, women seeking reproductive health services, gay people shopping for wedding rings, prisons that just aren't full enough. But lately, it's boats. Well, if we want to be more specific, I guess we could say boats full of people of color. For instance, the MV Sunsea, which arrived on the BC coast last Thursday, carrying just under 500 Tamil refugee claimants fleeing race-based civil unrest in Sri Lanka. Or the additional ships jam-packed with more Tamils that Toews claims are en route this very minute. But they're not just any brown people. They're terrorists and human smugglers, he insists. I don't want to make any assumptions about the people on the boat, who include pregnant women, small children, and civilians missing limbs as a result of Civil War bombing. I don't want to assume they may not be terrorists. They could be. Still, neither recent history nor reliable intelligence seem to back up Toews' claims. Terrorists, traffickers, and Tamil tigers. Oh my! I forget. What's it called when someone makes assumptions about a group of people based on their ethnicity? Oh yeah, it's called racism. But I don't want to make any such assumptions about Toews either. Let's just say it's a fear of boats. Boats, coincidentally, from Asia. Toews isn't alone in his fears. They're shared by Peter Fromm, the neo-Nazi who traveled from Ontario to lead a protest rally at the BC Army base where the unarmed ship is docked. Immigrants are fine, says Fromm, as long as they're Caucasian. But warning sirens are not being raised only by such extreme forces as white supremacists or the Conservative Party of Canada. On call-in radio shows countrywide, phones are ringing off the hook with complaints that aquatic terrorists are water polo jumping the immigration queue on the taxpayer's dime. However, the fear and the facts just don't line up. In fact, the incongruity is enough to make you seasick. Toews says, "Get tough now," or face an armada of boats overrunning a Canada soft on terrorists masquerading as refugee claimants. Never mind that not a single terrorist was found on the last boatload of Tamil migrants, despite all the same fears being whipped up. No human smugglers were found either. As a party to the UN Convention on Refugees, we in Canada acknowledge that refugees are forced from their homes in emergency situations because of life-threatening human rights abuses. We don't expect them to just stay at home and be shot to death. We understand they sometimes undertake dangerous journeys to our shores in order to survive. We know that refugees contribute to our communities and that governments have no problem finding genuine wastes of Canadian taxpayers' dollars, like the G20 summit. The last time I looked, Canada had lots of room for population growth. Sadly, the effects of First Nations genocide have seen to that. Of the world's 62 million refugees, only about 30,000 a year are accepted here in Canada, a tiny number in perspective. Toews' intended crackdown on burgeoning immigration is like the Tories' gonzo mission to tackle rising crime. In other words, an ideological response to an imaginary problem. Now, back to the urgent issue at hand. What is to be done about Vic Toews' irrational fear of boats? Well, I believe that fears should be confronted head-on. I think we should suggest that Toews hop on board the MV Sunsea himself and go for a nice long cruise. In fact, he could take Prime Minister Stephen Harper and the rest of the Conservative caucus with him. I hear that Antarctica is looking for a new governing party. Antarctica is very nice this time of year. They say it's not nearly as cold as it used to be. For some unknown reason, of course completely unrelated to the Alberta tar sands and global warming, it's melting. For Rabble TV, I'm Sean Sims, and not Rex Murphy.